Hey everyone, welcome to week 35 Connects You, and your launch this week is going to be on life lessons. So while there are a ton of lessons to be learned in life, and you're more than likely not going to learn everything you need to know in this one lifetime, I decided to look at this article. It was on 5 lessons that most people learn way too late in life. So rather than 20 years down the road having to learn these lessons for yourself, I figured we could at least try to prepare you for some of the most common life lessons that it takes people a while to learn. The first one being perception is reality. The way you interpret and understand the world around you directly affects your beliefs and the way you live your life. So if you're looking at a particular group of people or how you perceive certain groups or places or whatever, that kind of forms your own reality. So it's very important that we start to get in control of our perception and our idea of others. Perception can create bias as much as it can create understanding, as well as it can create fear as much as it can create curiosity. So basically the things that are different from us, sometimes we judge or we become afraid of, just as much as we could be curious about those things. So how do you learn to know what you don't know? You should start by asking yourself, what don't I know and what do I want to learn more about? It's very, very important that you try to think outside of yourself, understand that everybody's perception is different, and that there's no right answer to anything at all. It's your opinion versus somebody else's opinion, and it's just getting along with people and trying to understand the way people that think differently than you, why they have those opinions. Understand that it is okay to be wrong. In error, there is growth. Okay, so not all of your perceptions are fact. And like I was saying, there's no one right answer. It's important to understand that sometimes you just have to agree to disagree. Don't force your perception of other people onto others. So the quote on the side, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. So look at the things that bother you about other people and kind of reflect and internalize that and ask the question, what can you change about yourself in the process? Because you're not going to be able to change other people. Number 2, everything is temporary. When you're up, enjoy it and be grateful. When you're down, know that you will get through it. That's the good thing about life. Unfortunately, the good things can't stay forever, but that's the same can be said for the bad things. So while it might seem like you're never going to get over something, you will. Know that it's not the end. It's just a rough patch. It might take longer than you'd like, but you will get through it. Understand that life is about the journey, not the destination. So we pretty much all have the same destination. We're going to maybe live to 100 if we're lucky, and then we all end up in the same place. But it's what we do along the ride that is the important part. So it's understanding that we need to be more concerned with our day-to-day life than the destination. Recognizing the full worth of your hardships and your blunders is key to appreciating the journey. So we've talked in recent weeks about the importance of failure with success, and it is important that we understand that success or failure is not always a bad thing. Actually, it's a pretty good thing to learn from your mistakes and apply them. The most successful people on earth have failed at least one time. Everything is temporary, so make the most out of all of it. Number 3 is the importance of being present. I like this quote by Lao Tzu over to the right. If you're depressed, you are living in the past. If you are anxious, you are living in the future. If you are at peace, you are living in the present. So as human beings, we tend to worry about what's to come or dwell on something that's already happened. It's just very a natural thing to do. But while it's crucial to care and consider your future, you also need to be careful not to let it hinder your present. Moments turn into memories, so we need to enjoy these moments while we have them. It's also important to note that worrying is not a productive thing. If you're worrying about what you have to do tomorrow or next year or next month, you're not really being productive in the present. But just as worrying isn't productive, it's also equally unproductive to live in the past and dwell on better days and things like that. It's better to try to live in the moment and see how you can make some changes in your life to get back to those better days. It's important to find the balance between reflection, prioritizing your future, and living in the moment. So reflection is different than dwelling in the past. It's very important to look back on choices that you've made, reflect on them, and then apply them to your present and your future. That's very different from living in the past and dwelling on those things. And it's also important to see what moments you have now that are going to turn into decisions that are going to affect your future. This is one thing I liked about the importance of being present. I just love this little lady in the pink glasses in the front. I just think she represents everything that we should try to be. She's at a concert, and she's the only one here actually living in the moment. Everybody else is so consumed with their cell phone. Look at them. Most of them aren't even looking at the actual concert. They're all on their phone looking at it through a screen. And this woman is just like having the time of her life, just focusing. So she's more likely to create a memory here, whereas we're just trying to preserve the past and eventually look back on this picture and dwell on it. So try to live your life like the little old lady in the pink glasses. Number 4, do what you love and love what you do. If you aren't happy in your future career, that unhappiness will seep into other aspects of your life. So I know some of you are closer to having a career than others. Some of you have them now, but if you're not happy with it, sometimes you do need to make a change. I'm not saying quit your part-time job, but just really internalize and reflect and think about what would really make you happy. What is your passion? I think some of us don't necessarily want to answer those questions about what we want to do in the future because they're difficult questions, but it's important that we start to think forward and think about what's going to make us happiest in life. It's also important to invest in yourself. Think about what habits you have that you'd like to stop, but also which habits or hobbies you want to develop that would be positive things for your life. It's important to be conscious of the type of people and activities you surround yourself with. So I know some of your parents have probably told you that a certain kid on the block is bad news, or maybe you're that kid on the block that's bad news. But you can invest in yourself, try to change some habits, and be a more positive, productive person that people would get a lot out of if they hung out with you. It's also important to remember that information is like nutrients to your brain. Be aware of what you're feeding yourself. So not only literally feeding yourself like food and nutrients, but be aware of the people that are around you. If they're positive people, you want to surround yourself with positivity. If you're surrounding yourself with people who give you nothing but negativity, then eventually, whenever you're older and you have the freedom to make those decisions, then you rid the toxic people of your life. And number 5, happiness takes work. It's important to know that the happiest people tend to be the ones who've worked the most on themselves. Most people aren't just naturally happy. They do have to try to make choices that have allowed them to be happy. And happiness is a choice. Happiness means that you decided not to be a victim and to put that energy back into yourself. So whenever you guys first started here, you likely did the Own It learner profile. You want to apply those same concept, that own it strategy, to your life. You want to not be a victim all the time. Own it, that you are in control of your life and you can make the choices that are going to make you the happiest. It's very, very important to not compare yourself to other people. This is crucial. Especially in an age with social media, it's also important to remember that people tend to show only the best parts of their lives on social media platforms. They're not typically posting pictures of themselves where they look absolutely horrid. They're normally, women taking selfies 20 times to catch the light just right, or, a shadow. They're making themselves look their thinnest. They're using Photoshop, different filters. Nothing's real. So don't compare yourself and your life to those people that you're seeing on Instagram and all other forms of social media. Because what it does is it distracts you from being appreciative of what you have in your own life. And you need to focus on your journey and not the journey of other people. And lastly, being happy takes practice. You only have one life, so it's very, very important that you work hard to make it your best life. All right, your reflection for this week is: which of the 5 life lessons that we discussed stood out to you and why?